back with a brand new YouTube video. So today, I want to cover on how I went from nearly zero working at a warehouse at 22 years old to building a short-term rental portfolio upward to $10 million at 27. Now, if you're new here and you haven't watched the last video, I'm in a short-term rental space and I have been in it for the last half decade, and I just like to give valuable information. So if you like it and you find it valuable, be sure to like this video, leave a comment. Also, whatever you want to see in the near future, and of course, subscribe. But nonetheless, I'm going to be going over in the computer to give a breakdown on like the mindset, where I was, how I did it, everything. So let's get into it. Let's get into this. So near ground zero to a $10 million portfolio. Now, it was always interesting to me because I realized it, one, very late, and two, I never took time to reflect. And I want to start it off with this, with letting you guys know, in whatever you're doing, whether it is this, whether it is another business, whatever it is, be sure to take time to reflect on your achievements, because we live in this culture where everyone is so mixed up in this, hustle, grind, head down sort of thing. I'm not going on vacation because I don't have anything to celebrate. To me, it's just brainwashed. And it's very important to identify those W's and celebrate those W's with, your friends, family, husband, wife, girlfriend, whatever it might be, because you're more grateful for it. And you'll be able to see that timeline of like, wow, I was here, and then wow, I'm here, and it's like, wow, what is to come in the future as long as I keep going down this path. So I think it's important to reflect, because I realized really late, it was like 2021 when I realized, I was like, wow, I was like, damn, really did it. And I would just like go mode all the time. But yeah, be sure to reflect. But nonetheless, let's get into this. Near ground zero to a $10 million portfolio. So I really want to talk about like how I was shaping this stuff in my mind at the time. So this might apply to you, but I'm putting what you want and why, because it is me, but also it could apply to you. Okay, so what you want and why. So for me, it was time freedom. I wanted time freedom for as long as I can remember. When I had my first job, it didn't make sense that I was trading time for money, especially for something I really did not like. Okay, doing what fills you up more, like something like business for me, all that stuff is fun. Like, it's fun creating. That's what fills me up. That's what gets me excited. It doesn't even necessarily have to be short-term rentals. There's tons of different businesses that are exciting, but it's very important to stick to one, scale that out significantly as much as you can. But doing more of what fills you up and then making a difference was huge for me, because I always wanted to make a difference in someone's day, someone's life. And being in the short-term rental space, you can make a difference in someone's whole experience for 3 days. They're just loving it, enjoying their time. So that's a key point for me and for all of you guys. Making more money. You see, we're all here to make more money. The more money we make, I'm not saying money's going to bring happiness to you, because if you're depressed already without it, and if you're depressed with it, you're just a depressed individual. So there's more inner work. But if you make more money, your quality of life for you will go up, and the quality of your life for others around you will go up, and the people you care about. So that's a very important thing. So for me, it was like, hey, I want to make more money, and the more money I have, the more freedom I have, and so on. Okay? So what I disliked and what you may dislike for some. So clocking into work was something I really did not like. It was dreadful, but I knew it was a stepping stone to where I needed to go, because I had a mission. I had a mission to make something work. That was it. So clocking in at 2 p.m., working at the warehouse, and clocking out at 10 p.m. was just dreadful. And I didn't have a lot of time on my hands to work on other things, but I still got it done, which is the crazy part. I'll probably make another video on exactly my whole schedule, how this whole thing completely happened, the backstory from literally A to through Z. But nonetheless, clock again was, the worst part. But got it done. Not having enough time, right? So I realized at an early age, like it was like probably 15, 14, that I didn't have enough time. I got my first job at like 15, and I realized that I put all this time in. I was working at Target. I put all this time in, and then I got paid. I got paid like $200 for like 3 weeks. And I used to do landscaping when I was young. So I was like, I put all this time in to make $200. This makes no sense. I just couldn't wrap my head around it, like at all. So not having enough time in general, and of course trading your time for money, for me, did not make sense. Oh shit. Sorry about that, guys. But trading my time for money just did not make sense for me. Not being able to work on what I fully wanted. This kind of goes back to what fills you up, what gets you excited. You're like ready to start something. So not being able to work on what I really wanted to work on was another thing that I did not like. All right. And not making as much money as I wanted. This goes back to making more money, right? So I dislike that because when you're like, okay, I can do something. Like there is something I can do. This is not the end all be all. And not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur in business. However, you can be an entrepreneur. You can work in a company that you may like. And let's say you're capped off and you're comfortable with your family where you're at. You have so many other things that you can put on the side that you can work on to make even more money, to the point where you can make more money on the side than at the day job, but you may love that day job. So it's subjective to everybody. Everyone's different. But for me, I like doing what I do. I like having the time freedom and so on. So making money, of course, we all want that. But another thing that I really came to understand as I was, getting in the short-term rental space and, growing and, even when I was younger, working jobs and understanding like what I wanted and why and what I disliked. Like I had to go through this thing in my head to like really understand what I need to do to get ahead, right? And life is very counterintuitive. It's like you have to do the opposite of what you think you need to do. In order for me to go from near ground zero to turning my life into something wasn't necessarily showing up to work every single day to make more money. Because again, that goes back to that time, right? And putting more hours into what I was trying to build and being smart about it is what I really needed to focus on. You understand? So I think that was a thing that like clicked inside of my head, that if I really want to make something happen, it wasn't me punching the clock more. I need to work extra hours essentially on my quote unquote main thing when I get out of the main thing, if you know what I'm saying. So putting more hours onto what I would truly want so that can blossom, right? You have to work your land, water your seeds so it can grow. So if I'm selling dog collars and market it to the entire world, I probably won't be able to get the best conversions. And that's just the truth, because not everybody has a dog and not everybody wants dog collars, right? So if I'm marketing to a specific niche of individuals that have dogs, I'll probably have better conversions, higher sales, and so on. So this is why life is so counterintuitive. You sometimes need to do the opposite of what you think you need to do. And this is what a lot of people need to understand. And I think most people have a mindset issue. They may be in their job, they might be an entrepreneur, they might have that thing they want to do to take that next jump. So understanding that life is counterintuitive is going to help you significantly to move forward and push the needle forward and have a clear understanding on everything, not even just in the business, I think your personal life and so on. So take that for that example. I hope you get it. But another thing, before I got into the rentals and working a job, right? The vehicle to get where I wanted to go, right? That was a huge question while I was working at the warehouse. So I need a machine that prints money, because that's the only way I'm getting somewhere. Big corporations, businesses, they have a machine that makes money, period. And what am I solving? Like, am I solving an issue? Because I think we could call it the marketplace will pay you based on the problems you're solving. Also, how valuable is it? Like, is it a valuable thing that you're doing and starting? Like, when you get into anything, you need to think of all of this stuff before starting something. And also, is it scalable? Like, is this a scalable thing that can last long? Because you really need to see timelines. Like, some people get into specific things and it's like a burst. It's like, boom, oh, I made a whole bunch of money. Cool. What's next? You know what I mean? Like, how long can I do this for? So this is why it's important to know if it's scalable. Because me personally, I wouldn't get into these, get it fast kind of movements. I like to go into something that has been working. Like, a lot of people say this is very true. Boring businesses work. Like, if you have a car wash and you open up multiple locations, phenomenal. Everybody needs their car washed. These are simple things, but a lot of people forget to think about those things. So that's how I think before getting into anything, and even how I thought when I was working at a warehouse packing boxes completely. So everything started up here, to be real. All right. So does the business model align with my desires? That was another thing that I needed to take into consideration. Now, some people may say, hey, do it for the money, and that's cool, but for me, I was like, I need to make sure it aligns with my desires, because I'm not going to do something if it doesn't feel right, especially when it comes to putting a lot of time into it. Oh my God, you don't want to be that person. Trust me. So people really get into businesses that essentially turn into jobs, and that's not what you want. You want to be able to build something that is systemized, a machine that prints out money. And if you can step away for some time when you delegate, even better. Most people just, they might quit their job and then they create another job for themselves. That's not the goal. I know some people that own gyms, right? And they kill it in the gym space, but they don't have that flexibility. They can't go anywhere. Like, if I said, hey, you know what? I want to meet a business partner because I wanted to work on something in Europe, for example, and I need to go stay over there for the next 3 weeks. Can you? Maybe, maybe not. How much do you have to delegate in order to do that? Or is it already delegated? You need to think of these models that you can see forward, put it into play, and then go back and then look at it and then say, hey, can this work? So these are things you need to think about. Now, again, this kind of goes to the next point. Does the model give flexibility and time freedom? Exactly what I just talked about, right? And then how long does it take to get the outcome? Because most of us want things quickly. And I understand I want things fast as well. That's the society we live in. But how long does it take to get some sort of outcome? Because sometimes it could be in the wrong vehicle that doesn't necessarily work. And it could take very long for you to get that particular outcome. And I understand people say, you work in this for 5 years. I worked for 5 and then the 6th hit. But you should be able to see some sort of outcome within, I would say, the first year and a half with your head down. All in. You should be able to see something. Once you see that, that's when you're going to understand that, okay, it's time to crank up the gas a little bit, the gas pedal. So for me, that's why I got into the short-term rental space, because when I found out about it, I knew it was scalable. I knew I was solving a problem. So I solved the problem because people always need places to stay, period. Even during COVID, people were still traveling. Some hosts got hit bad, some hosts didn't. Depends where it was. However, people always need places to stay. So that's a problem that I solved. And I understood that as long as people needed places to stay, I'll be able to make money. We live in a consumer-based society. So if you understand we live in a consumer-based society, it's infinite. Completely. It's infinite. So people travel all over the world every day, which makes the business model scalable. If I scale the portfolio of properties, I can cater to more people, which results to more cash flow and more income for me. So if I think back to when, I was thinking about all these things, like the mindset, like how I need to look at things, the short-term rental thing aligned with what I wanted and how scalable it is. And it's actually something I really liked as well. It's a long-term thing at the end of the day. So I understood that. So in 2018, I acquired my first property, which was 500 square foot property. The rent was $1,500, and I did a rental arbitrage with that particular unit. So the method is simply you're renting from either landlords, specifically on single family homes, and you're getting permission to run your business through that particular property. So that's how it works. So I got this property for $1,500 on South Beach, and I cash flowed and generated between $3,000 and $3,500 a month when I first got that property. After expenses and all that stuff, I was left with anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 per month profit. Meanwhile, I was still working my job because my job was what funded that particular property. So I never quit that job until I got to a specific point. So $1,500 a month extra felt euphoric. I'll never forget when I went to the bank and pulled out $500 out of PNC while working my job, knowing that I created money from some random platform, not knowing what the heck I was doing, felt completely euphoric. I can't even explain it. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I think I'm on to something. So after that, scaling the portfolio, I realized the model, of course, was scalable. So I went on to acquire properties again and again and again. So led from 1, 2, 3, and so on. You get it. But I was able to do this while working at the warehouse, which was, interesting situation because I wanted to quit so bad. But I knew that I needed to get to a point where it's like, okay, like, can I leave now? But with that one property, I didn't think that made sense. But after a few, it started to make sense. Everything started to unravel. So after, scaling the apartments and reinvesting, something really changed for me. I took a shift in acquiring my first 4-bedroom house. That was like the light bulb that set everything off. It was it. So it was a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom property on the water. And the first month of having that property, I did north of $20,000 my first month with it not being fully occupied, which was the crazy part. So it wasn't fully occupied. I did $20,000 that first month. My rent was around $6,000. Like flat, property came furnished. And I realized, I was like, whoa. After that, I actually quit my job. So that was it. But I had a huge realization. I was like, this is it. Houses is the way to go. So I realized another thing when actually scaling this thing was I'm doing less work with having a house. Because when having apartments, right? Let me give you a scenario, because I had a student that actually offloaded a whole bunch of apartments. When you have, for example, let's say you have 20 properties, apartments. Now, some may be long-term, some may be short-term, and so on. So give or take, let's say 15 units are turning over. Now, that means I need a good amount of cleaners, that's one, to take care and turn over these properties, because everybody's going to be arriving at different times. Check-in is around 3 o'clock, always. So I realized, I was like, whoa, this is going to be a lot of work keeping up and scaling these apartments. And that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted us to make more money with having to do less work. Now, some people might say, oh, you got to grind. F that. More money, less work. I'm trying to work smarter here. More money, less work. Period. So if I really broke it down to you guys, it's way less work, significantly. So this is why it's important to really audit yourself, audit what you want, understand scalability, and so on. And obviously timelines and how long it's going to take, and obviously how much work you're going to be doing. Because like I said, a lot of people get into specific businesses and they just create another job for themselves. And that's not what I want. So 3 months later, I acquired another property about 1.5 miles away from that house. $8,000 a month, on the water. It was a lookalike property. And again, killed it. And these were arbitrage units. So I was like, okay, if I keep doing this, again, scalability, I can make a lot of money. So I went on to do LA, Texas, Dallas, Arizona, Philly. I mean, I kept scaling this thing significantly to where I got to a point where I realized I built this thing out to $10+ million portfolio. Lost some houses at one point, but realized, holy crap, these houses are worth a lot. And obviously doing the numbers and each property, understanding the valuation was around $10 million. But this was the mindset I had when starting and growing this thing, and not even understanding what I was doing at first, but being able to have the right mindset when I was starting on understanding how to scale it. Is it aligning with me? Is this going to be something where I have to replace, leave my job to replace my job with another job? Can I have time freedom? Is there a way to have location freedom too? Because the thing about this model is that you don't have to be at the location. There was properties I didn't see for a year. There was one point when my first property I ever had, oh my gosh, that thing, I didn't see that thing for so long just because it was, one, so booked. Two, it was all automated, like actually completed. Cleaners took care of everything. I was like not even present with that thing. It did its thing and I loved it. But it gave me flexibility to be able to travel, to be able to hang out. Like I didn't have to, oh my God, I gotta run. Like I have to run right now, bye. Like that wasn't the case. I'm just not a fan of working super hard. Let's figure out how we can build the infrastructure, do less work, make more money. Period. That's like someone saying, because we're always here to make money. So that's like someone saying like, oh, we got to push volume. Like we sell, a package at, let's say $1,000 and we get 1,000 people and so on. Like, but what if you sold packages for more with less people, qualified people, less work, less tedious stuff with the little people? No offense, but it's just the truth because we're here to make money. So that is exactly how I scaled a $10 million portfolio. It was a scalable business model. It works. I enjoy it. It's fun. Giving people places to stay. Good places to stay. At that. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys took something out of this. If it applies to you, if you're thinking of getting involved, anything like that, that is how I did it. That's how I thought about it in my mind, and so on. So whatever business you're getting into, always try to result back to this. What you want and why, and what you dislike about your situation. And all of these things here, it was me. All of this stuff was me. And then lastly, never forget this. Life being counterintuitive. Sometimes you need to do the opposite of what you think you need to do. Always go by that example, and then you'll get understanding. So, hope you guys like this video. Be sure to subscribe, like it, send it to your aunt or uncle. I don't care. Get it out there. And I'll see you guys on the next one.